2 babies under the age of 2 and not getting out of bed for 8 months. Well, that's where I was 25 years ago. I'm Beth Lendrum, and I'm the creator of the 4-Minute Flow, and I'm here to tell you that I have tools that you can use to help you help yourself feel better. And so I had tuberculosis. So for those of you who think that tuberculosis is a bygone disease, I'm living proof to tell you that it is alive and well. And certainly during this crisis that we're going through right now, you can understand how this plays a role in my heart. I was quarantined from my family for 2 months, and then once I had been on all of my medication, I went to my doctor, who said to me, "You're cured. I don't need to see you but once a year for a chest x-ray." And I thought to myself, cured. I can't get out of bed. I can't take care of my children. And most of all, I wasn't able to have any fun. And that began my journey on how to find and how to help myself feel better. I like to say, if there was a practice or modality out there, I tried it. I tried Reiki. I tried homeopathy. I tried Chinese herbal medicine. Heck, I studied Chinese herbal medicine for 5 years. And then I got introduced to a little known art called Jin Jitsu. Jin, what you say, because nobody's ever heard of it, or they think it's the martial art. I like to say, I'm a badass, but I'm not that kind of a badass. So it's Jin, as in if you drink too much gin, you fall on your shin and you land in the jitsu. Jin Jitsu is a Japanese form of acupressure. And it is, you utilize the strategic placement of hands on the body to facilitate healing. And oftentimes that healing is instantaneous. I made it my life's mission to help people and empower people to utilize self-care to continue the feeling better in their life. So often we're in a state of overwhelm, especially us women entrepreneurs that are in charge of everything: the cleaning, the kids, the cooking, the carpooling, all that kind of stuff. We've got all those plates spinning in the air. And what happens when you are constantly living in that heightened place? A little bit of a science lesson. This isn't about science here, so consult Dr. Google for more information. But what happens is your cortisol raises, your immune system drops down, and you're operating in fight or flight, and you create inflammation in your body. And we all know that inflammation is the root of many illnesses. So perhaps this is familiar to you. I have a client, Melinda, who, at the time when she could jet set, she was jet setting all over the country, working on presentations, constantly on calls, and really living in that heightened state. When I taught Melinda the 4-Minute Flow, she was able to bring herself down quickly and easily. She even says now she recognizes when she is starting to get into that state of overwhelm, and she stops and she utilizes the 4-Minute Flow. And once she uses the 4-Minute Flow, her creativity comes back and she becomes more productive. Isn't that something that you would like to have in your life? And how I created the 4-Minute Flow after studying Jin Jitsu since 2004, I even traveled to Japan and studied with the last living master of Jin Jitsu. That was quite an amazing experience. At the time, I lived on the East Coast. I'm now in California. And I wasn't going to take the class. And my mentor said to me, Beth, Kato Sensei is 80 years old. There isn't going to be a next class. And with that, I bought my ticket to Japan and I went and studied with him. When I got back from that class, the movers came to our house 2 weeks later, and we started what we refer to now as our California adventure. But having the opportunity to study with the last living master is something that I am so grateful that I had. Imagine this little tiny Japanese man, stern, with the most powerful hands I've ever felt. I even was fortunate enough to receive a session from him. And so back to how Jin Jitsu works. The 4-minute flow came about when I had a 24-year-old young man in my office. His mom was a client, and he was all riddled with anxiety. And he was so anxious that when he was going on job interviews, he couldn't speak. Have you ever been that anxious where your palms are sweaty, you're red in the face, and the words just won't come out? Well, this was Travis, and he just looked at me and he said, nobody's going to hire me like this. And I thought, you know what? This guy needs a tool. He needs a tool that he can use before he walks in for an interview. So we sat in my office. I taught him the 4-minute flow. He also received a session that day. When I taught him the 4-minute flow, I said, you know, Travis, do you think this is something that you can do before you go on those interviews? He said, absolutely. I watched his shoulders drop. I watched the redness disappear from his face. So the next week, Travis comes in, sauntering into my office, whole different guy, whole different demeanor. I said, hey, Travis, how's it going? He said, it's great. I did the process that you taught me. I had 2 job interviews and I got 2 job offers. And I knew I was on to something. And so what I'd like to do today is, you know, when you're only speaking for about 20 minutes, even 4 minutes takes up a lot of time. But I want to show you that you have the power in your own hands to help you feel better. And so if you'll just play along here, I'd like to have you just hold on to your left index finger. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths. The index finger has a relationship to the attitude of fear. And when we're not in fear, we're able to live life in flow. Wouldn't you like a little bit more flow in your life right now? And fear in the Eastern tradition is associated with the kidneys and bladder. So you're supporting those organs in your body just by holding your index finger. And now I'd like to have you hold your left little finger. That's your little pinky finger. That's your efforting finger. Stressing to impress, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to please your boss, trying to please your spouse, and most of all, trying to please yourself. So let's have you take a couple of deep breaths here. And probably you've noticed just from holding those 2 fingers, a shift in your body. Do you feel a little bit more calm? Did your shoulders drop? Maybe moved your head around a little because things were switching and coming into alignment. So what if I told you you could do something like that at any given moment? I refer to it as sensible self-care that you can do anywhere. And that's just the surface, or scratching the surface, of Jin Jitsu. and the work that I can help you with. Because as you get out of that overwhelm, it allows you to become more productive. And that's what I want to see for you in your business and in your life, and particularly in this time right now. And most of my clients find that they start sleeping like a baby. I got a text from one recently. I had the most epic sleep last night, utilizing the tools that I taught her as well as receiving sessions. And so it's my hope that you have learned a little bit about yourself in this talk today, and I would be so inspired to teach you more about Jin Jitsu and how you can help yourself. Thank you so much, Stephanie. You're still muted.
Hi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Awesome. Gotta love it, right? So I did notice that a couple people left some comments on Facebook Live.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see if I can kind of do that real quick. So it looks like we have 𝕰𝖎𝖎𝖑𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖙, and she says, good evening, and and I can hear myself backwards. This is hilarious. Oh, and then Kelly just said that she just hopped on. Thank you so much for coming, guys. We're so glad to have you, Alicia and Kelly, watching us Facebook Live right now. And Beth, thank you so much for speaking here at Empower Hour. We always appreciate and love our speakers, and we appreciate what you have to say. And thank you so much for bringing an ability to really bring us to a place where we can get centered, we can de-stress, and we can try to really see ourselves in a place where we're going to be able to be more calm and relax in the long run. So we thank you so much for that, for sure. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. Bye.